I'm here with YALSA President Jack Martin and YALSA Board Member Chris Shoemaker, and we're in Chicago at the DML conference and want to talk to you a little bit about it. So Jack, just tell us a little bit more about you and before we get started.
About me?
Just
cool. Okay.
What do you do? What do you do?
So I'm Jack Martin. I'm the YALSA President. Hey. And I actually have 3 day jobs. One is being the YALSA President, which is a pretty big job, full-time job. It's an awesome full-time job. I also work for a nonprofit organization called Global Kids and their online leadership department, where we use social and digital media as a lens for exploring and learning about human rights and social issues from all around the world. And I'm also the project manager for Hive Fashion, which means I oversee 12 fashion projects for kids, for teens, in different organizations and institutions, including libraries in Chicago and New York.
Yay, thank you. And Chris, what do you do in your non-YALSA time?
Well, that's true.
Go for it.
Well, I do spend some time as a YALSA board member, and then I am also the teen programming specialist for the New York Public Library, so doing all the after-school activities for teens in the Bronx, Manhattan, and Staten Island.
And how many branches are there in New York Public?
87!
Wow, that's a good number. So like I said, we're here in Chicago at the DML conference, and DML is Digital Media and Learning. And so Jack and Chris, can you tell everybody a little bit about what DML is?
Sure. So DML is this learning kind of community that I believe first started with the MacArthur Foundation many, many years ago. And they basically look at the kinds of learning that kids, teenagers specifically, experience when they're using social and digital media. So I don't know how long the conference has actually been in process. This is mine and Chris's 3rd year to be here, and it's always really fun. It's fun to be here because there's a really interesting mix of educators, of nonprofits, people who work with teens, researchers. So all the things that you've heard about Hamago, hanging out, messing around, and geeking out, to what YALSA is really excited about on the horizon with connected learning. There are 900 people here in Chicago to talk about this, and actually this is the first year I think where I have seen so many teen librarians, and I've actually run into several teen librarians here who are YALSA members. So that's really amazing.
No, it's true. We definitely have a good YALSA presence here this year, both with active members and people who are working with teens in libraries and are interested in learning about why YALSA would be involved in this conversation and at this conference.
So why do you think teen library staff might be interested in coming?
Well, I think one of the reasons that DML is so appealing is especially for the theme this year, which is democratic futures. And so there's a lot of discussion about activism through technology, through apps, bridging education inequalities and things like that. But so much of what DML is talking about resonates with what we do with teens in our libraries already. How are we teaching them to build apps? How are we engaging them in STEM activities? What are we doing to help them learn and grow and develop, both in the formal education setting of school and in the informal education setting in libraries and after-school programs? So there's all sorts of synergy, and this is definitely where librarians who work with teens should be.
I want to also add one other, well, there's actually a couple of things that are cool things that are kind of going on here. In digital media and learning has been part of the MacArthur Foundation's just sort of scope and sort of what they've been exploring for the past few years. But an interesting thing that's kind of, for me, that's kind of evolved over the past 2 years is the inclusion, well, the creation and the inclusion of the maker community. So everything that Chris said about technology is totally happening, but we're also looking at analog kinds of exploration and learning. So it's stuff that kids are making, whether it's crocheting or MakerBot, 3D printing, all those kinds of things. And then the other really cool thing here is the inclusion of the Mozilla Foundation, who have been working with the MacArthur Foundation over the past couple of years. And Mozilla is, their scope is to really teach teens how to read and write on the web. 21st century writing skills. So if you mash all those together, that's kind of what you have for DML, and it's this really rich experience around those 3 areas that makes it so exciting.
Well, and I think that you get to taking those themes, which libraries work with those things, but you also meet a lot of people here who you can partner with in the future.
Right.
Right. So I think that's
right. Like so like last year, when Chris and I were at San Francisco, the coolest thing that happened at DML is we met a game designer who we now and who also knows Blender, the MakerBot program, and so now Chris uses this guy at the New York Public Library. You should talk about him.
Yeah. So we discovered Pixel Academy while we were in San Francisco for DML, and we talked with Mike, the founder, about some of the activities that he was interested in doing. He gave us a walkthrough on Stencilworks, which is a video game design platform, and then talked about his desire to sort of create a new sort of makerspace in Brooklyn that does 3D printing and all sorts of activities, and we definitely wanted to get him involved at the New York Public Library, and so he leads a lot of our 3D printing workshops, our game design workshops, Arduino instruction, and stuff like that. So it's amazing how you can bring those partnerships back and forth.
And you just said Arduino out loud, and I've never known how to say that. So
Arduino, yeah.
I've never been able to say that before. So Chris, tell everybody what you did last night.
Well, so last night was very exciting. We had a science fair here at DML, and it's sort of like the old-fashioned science fair where you think of experiments and activities, and then sort of like a big project fair or exhibition hall. And I was at the YALSA booth talking about the YALSA Badges project, Badges for 21st Century Skills, and talking about those with both librarians who are stopping by, museum educators, and sort of everybody across the spectrum. And YALSA is a lot of fun in this whole larger badging conversation because we are one of the few organizations who are doing professional development badges for adults rather than participation and achievement badges for youth. So it's interesting to be able to frame what YALSA is doing in that larger badge framework discussion.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Anything else you two want to add about being here, the value to teens, the staff working with teens, DML?
You know, it's in one of the plenary sessions this morning or this afternoon. It all runs together.
It was this morning.
It was this morning. Sorry. There was a lot of talk about teens and activism and building communities of teens who are activists, and that makes me think of, in one sense, the teen advisory groups who are in our libraries. So that's kind of another sort of parallel, or not parallel, but kind of similarity that we have with this community too. So again, it's these people or this community is doing almost exactly what people are doing in libraries, and we need to work more closely together to basically to figure out how we can improve what we're doing. And it kind of goes back to the forum we had where what are we doing? What do teen services in libraries look like in the 21st century? And the reason why we're here and why we want to be here is because we think this community has a lot of great ideas, and we want to figure out how we can incorporate some of those ideas and partner with those people to figure this out.
I think librarians who attend DML see a lot of what they are doing in their libraries, and they're able to see it blown up to a new level or taken in an entirely different direction. We got to see a lot of app projects last night, from NASA's Starlight Explore Mars program to Disney's Wilderness Adventure to a hip-hop program and the Girl Scouts and their Mentor Mob coding program. So all of these things that libraries touch on just expanded and increased and build beyond the capacity that most libraries have. So it's a great way to see what you can do and establish partnerships to help you get there.
Right, and get new ideas for what you already do and make connections, which is the whole connected learning thing.
Exactly.
Right, that's great. Well, thank you both for doing this. I
No
took
problem.
you away from going to a session, so I really apologize. But
No problem.
you did it for YALSA, so
Yeah.
that's really good.
Anything for YALSA.
Anything for YALSA. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you around.
Bye.